What's up, everyone? This is PittsburghSean, and I am making another video like I said I would at the beginning of the week, and it will be on politics like I said I'd do. And I wanted to do a little bit more satire, make it a little bit more entertaining, since politics is usually a dry subject for most people. Still trying to work the bugs out, though. Not doing a good job with that yet, so I'm going to go back to the drawing board, try to come up with the jokes so they don't appear offensive, and then I'll try to incorporate satire in Monday's video when they usually are going to be made. Now, the first topic I'm going to be talking about with all my political vlogs will be the issue of the debt ceiling, which is a very important issue because if we don't get this debt ceiling issue resolved, we are going to default on our debt, and we are going to have to pay the interest on our debt, which is going to rise interest rates, and it'll really hurt this economy, possibly crashing it all the way down into a depression, or at least that's what some people think. Now, to this debt ceiling fight, there is a political and a policy component to this debt ceiling, and I wanted to distinguish the two because the policy is definitely going to be different, obviously, than the politics, although the politics mixes in with the policy. Now, I'm going to start with the politics of it, which right now is looking very good for the Barack Obama White House with the strategy imposed by the Chief of Staff, Bill Daley. Now, Bill Daley, I must admit, as a liberal, I didn't care for this guy. I didn't like this guy. I thought he was going to be bad news for this presidency because the liberals were going to just totally abandon the White House, especially coming off the tax cut deal in December, which really was something the liberals did not like, me included. However, when it comes to the strategy on the debt ceiling that Bill Daley did, I have to give him credit because this was just brilliant. And I know some liberals out there, and I'm really good friends with them, we're probably going to disagree with this because obviously what Bill Daley's strategy did was put stuff on the table that liberals do not like Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. Those are the big three liberal programs. You don't touch them because those are safety nets to poorer people, to working class people, and to elderly people. And the liberals do not want to see anything done to them, even if it meant cutting benefits for millionaires and billionaires. They did not want to do anything about it. They didn't want to see anything touched with those three programs. However, Bill Daley and Barack Obama put these things on the table, and that was a great move because in return for putting those things on the table, Bill Daley and Barack Obama put something else on the table that they knew would never pass. The Republican-controlled House that's basically being taken over by the Tea Party faction, which basically is an anti-tax wing of the Republican Party. So Bill Daley and Obama put revenue increases on the table, and these aren't increasing the tax rates. Okay? So no tax rates are going to be going up under this Obama deficit reduction plan with the debt ceiling. However, we expect the rich and the corporations to pay loopholes, or at least that's what Daley and Obama are saying, and they weren't going to back down on it. Okay, so they put that on the table as well, saying if we agree to Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid, then we're agreed to that if you agree to getting rid of these tax loopholes for rich people that allow Warren Buffett to pay less taxes than a steel worker here in Pittsburgh or a healthcare worker here in Pittsburgh at UPMC or anything else. Okay? So as of now, those people at UPMC, in any steel mills left or any factories left here in Pittsburgh, pay more in taxes than rich people do, and Obama wanted to see that gone because the rich people used the tax loopholes in order to pay less taxes. So they weren't going to budge on that point. However, they would put those big three on the table. However, Daley and Obama knew that the Republicans were never going to agree to that. Okay? And I've heard some concern from liberals I've watched. But they were never, that is the Republicans, going to accept any revenue increases, and Daley knew that. Okay, so that's the politics of it. So basically what the politics were is they were trying to appeal to whatever reasonable faction of the Republican Party's left, and independents and swing voters that voted for Republicans in the 2010 elections. That's what they did, and it is paying big dividends because the Republican Party, overran by the Tea Party, could not help themselves, and they said no to that deal. And keep in mind, I've seen graphs on this on MSNBC and CNN and the rest of the places that the Republicans would have had 83% of what they wanted in this debt ceiling deal. $3 of spending cuts for $1 of additional revenue. And it wasn't even tax increases, it was just additional revenue from the tax cheats that hide behind these loopholes and end up paying less than the Pittsburgh steelworker that works his ass off in order to make a living for him and his family. Okay? That's what Obama wanted to get rid of, and the Republicans said no. They defended the fact that Bill Gates and Warren Buffett pay less in taxes than the Pittsburgh steel worker. Okay? So this is good politics because now the Republicans, they weren't going to accept that deal because they thought the president was going to cave because he caved before on the tax cut deal in December. However, the president did not cave on that deal when he offered $4 trillion in spending cuts. So we went from $4 trillion in spending cuts, and of course $1 trillion of that being revenue increases, and the Republicans said no, so then they backed away and they just said, well, let's do the Biden plan. The Biden plan basically was $2 trillion in cuts, and of course Obama continued to push his plan for additional revenue increases, so the Republicans backed off from that and said no, and then eventually Wall Street got involved, who basically bought the Republicans' elections in the House and gained them 6 seats in the Senate. And they said, look, you got to raise this debt ceiling or we're not going to be supporting you. That's what Tom Donahue of the Chamber of Commerce said. That was his exact words. If you do not raise this debt ceiling, we're basically not going to use the Citizens United super PACs to fund your campaigns. We will vote you out. That was his exact quote. Okay? So now some of the Republicans like Mitch McConnell and John Boehner, they were getting nervous, so then they backed off, and then Mitch McConnell proposed this idea to just unconditionally raise the debt ceiling, and what they would do is they would raise the debt ceiling without any spending cuts because they will just give Obama the responsibility to raise the debt ceiling in 3 increments, and in return offer non-binding spending cuts that he would propose to cut, which would never pass the Senate. It would be filibustered in the Senate by maybe a Bernie Sanders or an Al Franken or one of those other liberal senators. And they knew damn well that it wasn't going to pass. So basically, what happened was, because of Bill Daley's strategy, is we ended up going from 83% of what the Republicans wanted to 100% of what the Democrats wanted, and because Medicare will not be cut at this point in time, the Medicare card is now on the table for Democrats, and they can use it in the midterm elections and run against the people who voted against or for the Paul Ryan Medicare abolishment plan. Okay? So that's what happened, and Bill Daley knew damn well that they were not going to settle on 83% of what they wanted, and that's what makes this great politics for the Obama administration, because he's looking reasonable. He's pissing off people like Adam Green and other liberals here on YouTube that no longer like him. Meanwhile, the Republicans, like I said, they knew damn well the Republicans weren't going to accept this, and were going to turn it down because they wanted 100% of what they wanted. 83% of what they wanted was not good enough for the Tea Party, and they knew they would not take the deal. And that is why that is such good politics, because now they look unreasonable. Obama didn't cave on the tax loophole part, and now Republicans are running for the hill and likely are going to pass something with either a lot less in spending cuts than was proposed by the president and Republicans originally, to maybe even just an unconditional raising of the debt ceiling, which means Medicare won't be touched at all, which means the Paul Ryan plan will still be the focal point in the congressional and senatorial elections for all the Republicans who voted for it. That is why this was such a good idea. You see, liberals, I'm coming to the conclusion that Obama was never going to touch the big three in this debt ceiling fight. Now, maybe he'll touch it a little bit now because Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell are working on some alternative deal. But Obama was not going to touch this, was not going to touch the big three in the way he said he was. He was just saying that because he knew the Republicans were not going to accept it because of the revenue increases. He was betting on the Republicans to be foolish enough to do that. Okay, that's and the bet paid off. Now, obviously, there is risk to this strategy, because if the Republicans would have said, okay, we'll take the deal, then yeah, then the liberals would have ended up being pissed off. I probably would have been pissed off, and we'd all be freaking mad at him right now. However, they made a bet that the Republicans were not going to go along with the revenue increase out of it, even though they were going to get 83% of what they wanted. And so the Republicans eventually had to back off because Obama didn't back down this time. You see, he wanted the revenue increases, and the Republicans said they would absolutely not do that. And Obama did not back down. He kept pushing it, taking it to the American public, doing these press conferences, and doing everything it took to make the Republicans look unreasonable. And that is why this strategy worked out brilliantly. And that is why the Republicans are now collapsing. They are fighting amongst themselves. You have Lindsey Graham saying, well, maybe we shouldn't have attached the debt reductions to the debt ceiling, and Bob Corker said that as well. And now you have the right-wing Tea Party versus the regular Republicans, who obviously know that Wall Street buys their campaign. So there you go. Republicans are divided. They are on the ropes. The president has them on the ropes, and he is still pushing for this deal, still looking good to the moderates and Democrats, and moderate Democrats, moderate independents, and moderate Republicans out there, while the Republicans run away. So this definitely is good for him politically, because obviously, in the end, there's going to be little to no reduction in Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. So liberals keep the big three programs, can run against Republicans for trying to abolish Medicare so they can take the House back in 2012. And the president looks good in re-election because he looked good to moderates. So this was a good strategy, although the policy is not good. And I ranted a little bit on this strategy point, so I ran over on that, but But the policy, this is obviously not good policy. This obviously stinks because we are kicking the can down the road. We have all this debt and we need to do something. We need to raise extra revenues and we need to cut spending in areas. And yes, the Pentagon is some of them, and obviously we're probably not even going to get much Pentagon spending cuts out of this because the Republicans caved so much and are just going to give Obama everything he wanted, which was the original debt ceiling increase. Now, obviously, Obama now says he wants the $4 trillion in spending cuts, but obviously he doesn't mean that. Okay, just so you know, he doesn't. He's just saying that because he's a politician, and he knows that he's going to look reasonable. And guess what? The people are buying it. And the Republicans are on the heels. Anyway, that's my first video. Hope it wasn't too offensive. I didn't mean to be. And I'll definitely be making more videos to come. There'll be another one Monday. Hopefully the satire will be in it. In the meantime, take care. Have a great weekend, everyone. This is PittsburghSean.